Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for filling in for me to one Brian Wilson. It is always fantastic to know that Brian is there to pick up the reins in case one of us drop him. Having him on the team is still so amazing. So thank you to Brian Wilson for filling in for me yesterday. We are we're pushing through. We're pushing through. That's what we're gonna do. It's just me, or is this camera like way wonky today? Is it like, it seems like it's like bent. I'm not leaning if you're watching us on Super Talk TV.
Yeah, it's very, very slanted right now.
I don't understand it. It's weird.
I'll fix it in between break.
Yeah, we'll fix it during the break. Mason Fleming is in here. Joan Jones as well. We'll have Ken Weaver joining the broadcast about halfway through. Really excited about today's show. You know, you get a day off and you get to come back, and it's like war with Iran and royalties being arrested, and you know, things don't slow down. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's just bananas, actually. Absolute bananas. I don't even know where to begin. We're also going to have Chloe Cole joining us today on the show. Chloe is one of the loudest detransitioners in the detransitioning movement. She has absolutely been a force in that movement for years. And we're going to talk with Chloe today at 10:30 about her story and where that story is today. There's a lot to get into with Chloe Cole, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. She'll be joining us in studio at about 10:30, and we look forward to that. Right now, Donald Trump is holding his first Board of Peace meeting focused on rebuilding Gaza. This is happening in D.C. It's kind of ironic that on the day of the first Board of Peace meeting, we're also seeing an unprecedented military buildup in Iran, in and around Iran, and the talk that we could be striking them as early as today. I don't know when we're going to strike them. I don't think anybody does. Maybe we don't. Maybe this is just posturing. Could be. But we're seeing this, and we're keeping our eyes on it. It is interesting, to say the least. We do know that there was a massive withdrawal of all troops from Syria. That announcement was made, and that's going to be done within 2 months. And Fox News reported this yesterday, that roughly 1,000 American forces are expected to depart within 2 months as the administration determines military footprint is no longer necessary. And we're learning via Axios that President Trump convened top national security advisors, including figures like Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, Rubio, and others, in the White House Situation Room yesterday to discuss the escalating Iran crisis, recent indirect nuclear talks in Geneva, potential next steps, military options, and the growing threat of strikes amid stalled diplomacy and U.S. force buildups in the region. Then we hear this morning that there was an emergency meeting. They all convened before this big Board of Peace meeting. So it's a wild story, man, and we're not sure when or how this is going to happen. Axios is one of the first ones to be on this. Their report said that they convened with the advisors on the crisis in Iran, that Trump was briefed on the nuclear talks held earlier this week in Geneva, and the group discussed the next steps. They're saying that behind the scenes, Trump envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, Marco Rubio, and other senior officials were attending that meeting, and one of the U.S. officials said the Iranians need to come back to the Trump administration by the end of the month with a package of steps that addresses the concerns the U.S. presented in Geneva regarding the nuclear program. The Iranian foreign minister told Kushner and Witkoff a lot of positive things, but the devil's in the detail. The ball is in Iran's courts, so let's see, the official said. A second U.S. official expressed deep skepticism and said the talks in Geneva were a nothing burger. So are we going to bomb them today? Are we going to bomb them this weekend? Is that something that you want to see? 615-737-9986. I'm really interested on taking the audience's temperature on this. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Like, my initial reaction on war with Iran is no, meh, But I'm also going to be patient. I'm also going to trust the president. Because the last time we got into this, which was not too long ago, I was very anti going to war with Iran. I didn't want boots on the ground. And you know what? We didn't get boots on the ground. Donald Trump found a third option. And at the time, it seemed like we destroyed the nuclear capability of Iran, at least pushed it back from months to years. Iran is now building that capability back up. So we have to go do it again. I'm torn. But I'm willing to be patient and see what the president and his team does. What do you think? 615-737-9986. U.S. officials say the arrival of the USS Ford aircraft carrier and its strike group to eastern Mediterranean in the coming days will be a key factor in the timing of a possible military campaign against Iran. Rubio is planning a visit to Israel at the end of the month for talks about Iran, a U.S. official said. Axios says, zoom out. In addition to Iran, Trump was briefed on the Ukraine-Russia negotiations and the Gaza Board of Peace meeting that is set to take place today, which is ongoing right now. President Trump showed up. He got a standing ovation. And he opened with giving a huge shout out to Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. This was Donald Trump earlier this morning at that Board of Peace meeting.
The work to do, and we're getting it done. Gaza is very complex. It's been amazing. I want to thank Steve and Jared for an amazing job. Marco's over there watching. Everybody's fantastic. And J.D., what a job. They're all doing. It's a team. I think it's the best team ever assembled. And you see that by the results.
Obviously shouting out his team there. President Trump went on to make everybody laugh. Even in times of stress, the president is keeping it lighthearted during this Board of Peace meeting.
Important. I believe it's the most consequential board, certainly in terms of power and in terms of prestige. There's never been anything close because these are the greatest world leaders. Almost everybody's accepted, and the ones that haven't will be. Some are playing a little cute. It doesn't work. You can't play cute with me. But they're playing a little bit. But they're all joining. Everybody, most of them very immediately.
Is he taking jabs at Iran there? Some of them are playing cute. President Trump also gave a shout out to other right-wing leaders, Javier Milei, the Prime Minister of Japan, Viktor Orban, and more.
Where's President Milei? You're another one, I'll tell you. Where's President Milei? I endorsed him. I'm not supposed to be endorsing people, but I endorse when I like people. You know, I've had a very good record of endorsing candidates within the United States. But now I endorse foreign leaders, including Viktor Orban, who's here, and others. And I endorse this gentleman, Milei. He was a little behind in the polls. He ended up winning in a landslide. I just endorsed the Prime Minister of Japan. She was in a tight race, but was probably going to win. And she won in the largest number in the history of Japan. So she likes me a lot. But it was an honor, and you're doing great. Oh, look, they're sitting right next, Victor. But ultimately, I think I'm going to end up endorsing. Hey, look, as long as it works, it's okay with me. But the endorsement seems to be working in foreign countries, too, so that's good. But nice to have you both. Victor, nice to have you both.
I think one of the things that's on display at this Board of Peace meeting is that Donald Trump really is building up relationships with world allies. And it does seem like the world is on the president's side, or at least falling in line. And it seems like the one outlier here would be Iran. That doesn't mean I want us to bomb them, but you can understand where the president is on this to an extent. Nobody wants this to be Iraq 2.0. Nobody wants boots on the ground. Are you okay with a sustained bombing effort in Iran? It's a dicey situation, man, and one that time is going to have to come and go, so that way we can understand exactly the full extent of what is being planned, what is going to be executed, and if anything or nothing happens. It's hard to predict, especially with the current president in the White House. He's hard to read in situations like this, and I think that's one of his strengths. I do. President Trump has announced that he might have to defend against Iranian attacks if any conflict breaks out in the island, using the island of Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. He posted this on Truth Social yesterday. This was something that I caught, and he took a jab at one of our closest allies, the UK. President Trump announced that he might have to defend against Iranian attacks if conflict breaks out using the island of Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, but he says the UK is trying to give away the island. Posting this on Truth Social, he said, I've been telling Prime Minister Keir Starmer of the United Kingdom that leases are no good when it comes to countries, and that he's making a big mistake by entering a 100-year lease with whoever it is that is claiming right, title, and interest to Diego Garcia, strategically located in the Indian Ocean. Our relationship with the United Kingdom is a strong and powerful one, and it has been for many years, but Prime Minister Starmer is losing control of this important island by claims of entities never known of before. In our opinion, they are fictitious in nature. Should Iran decide not to make a deal, it may be necessary for the United States to use Diego Garcia and the airfield located in Fairford in order to eradicate a potential attack by a highly unstable and dangerous regime, an attack that would potentially be made on the United Kingdom, as well as other friendly countries. Prime Minister Starmer should not lose control for any reason of Diego Garcia by entering a tenuous, at best, 100-year lease. This land should not be taken away from the UK, and if it is allowed to be, it will be a blight on our great ally. We will always be ready, willing, and able to fight for the UK, but they have to remain strong in the face of wokeism and other problems put before them. Do not give away Diego Garcia. So while all of this is building up with Iran, the president is still taking a very tough stance, and he's even saying to our allies, yo, you guys better wake up. You understand what's going on here. You're bending the knee when you don't have to, and this is a strategic location, and it is very strategic. You pull out a map, see where it is, and how it could be of use to the United States. It's easy to figure it out, and I would argue not just with Iran, but with other adversaries in the area. President Trump, though, he's pushing for Keir Starmer to wake up, grow something, and not give it away for free. The UK has a bunch of problems, and we're seeing that on full display today with the arrest of Prince Andrew. This is just a stunning development, and I'm sure that you've been paying attention this morning. I know that Joan and Dan did a great job of pulling this audio as well, but Prince Andrew was arrested. The former prince of England has been arrested, and it was in relation to the Epstein files, which is unbelievable. And I wish we could see some arrests here in America in relation to the Epstein files. Piers Morgan says this is a threat to the future of the monarchy.
He had sex with Virginia Giuffre because Epstein reveals that in some correspondence. So all the statements that Andrew made in that interview have now been proven to be lies. And I think that he spun the same lies to his mother. But King Charles has seen that these were lies, realizes that Andrew was lying, realized the severity of this scandal and the potential danger to the monarchy itself. You know, Ainsley and I, we've done a lot of stuff together in the UK, of big royal events, from coronations to funerals in the last few years. And previously, we will have all covered things like the death of Princess Diana. These are huge seismic moments in the royal family's history. I have never seen a bigger threat to the future of the monarchy than what is unfurling right now.
Never before has he seen a bigger threat to the future monarchy than what is unfurling right now. That was Piers Morgan on Fox News earlier this morning. We'll talk a little bit more about what's going on with Prince Andrew. Plus, we'll show you what the British TV is reporting when it comes to Prince Andrew as well on the way. A lot to get to, a little bit of time. You can find us all over the place, True Social, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. You can also watch the show. We are live on Super Talk TV, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Rumble. Find us there. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit share. And don't forget, the 24th, that's just days away, man. Tuesday's going to be here before we know it. Our Steak of the Union party is happening at Legend Steakhouse in Smyrna. We have very limited tickets left. There's not that many. If you were debating on going, you're on the fence, you should make that decision sooner rather than later before the tickets are sold out. 997WTN.com. We'll be back with more momentarily. It's the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. When winter storms hit Nashville, they aren't messing around. We're talking power outages, frozen lines, burst pipes, and what starts as a small problem can turn into a major home disaster fast. This is why now is the time to call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, the team you can trust when it matters most. Like saving some money on surge protectors. Right now, you can get 40% off a whole home surge protector with any electrical repair. Protect your home from sudden outages and damaging voltage spikes before the next storm rolls in. And if freezing temps have already done a number on your plumbing, Busy Bee's offering $500 off select whole home water repipes. Fix it the right way now before a small leak becomes an expensive flood. And if you're dealing with that stubborn clog, ask about their 93 or free residential mainline special. If they can't clear it, you don't pay for it. It's that simple. This winter, stay safe, stay warm, and stay ahead of the damage. Visit busybhvac.com or call 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. busybhvac.com.
Up ahead, Prince Andrew under arrest, and the entire royal family is taking the heat now. Also, what NES is doing to recover from all the bad press. We've got those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joe Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Mason Fleming is producing. And in about an hour, we'll be joined in studio by Chloe Cole. She is a detransitioner with a heck of a story, and we're looking forward to that interview very much so. Chloe is just Awesome. Can't wait to have this conversation with Chloe. In the meantime, we have been talking about Prince Andrew and the arrest that happened this morning. Happy birthday, sir. You turned 66, and you get to celebrate in a, what is it, 6x6? That's probably big. Actually, he is a prince. Do you think he's actually in a jail cell right now, or do you think he's like chilling in the lounge?
He might be on house arrest, would be my guess.
Oh, the horrors.
Don't leave your bedroom.
The horrors.
Your timeout.
This is how British TV is covering it.
Estate, the police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's an extraordinary revelation and development on this story involving the Epstein files and all the allegations that have been swirling around about Andrew over the many years, from Virginia Giuffre, now sadly deceased, and since then, and certainly what's been contained in the Epstein files as released in the last few weeks. But the police have arrived at Sandringham Estate this morning, where Andrew has made his new home. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is. He has been arrested by the police. Of course, the brother of the current king, the second son of our late Queen Elizabeth. This is an extraordinary development. Those of us who've been talking an awful lot about establishment cover-ups and lack of, should we say, interest by the police in what are very, very serious allegations against Andrew. Perhaps pleased that that pressure has finally been put on the police, and they have done the job of actually looking into these issues seriously. Must bear in mind, of course, that the Prince has not been charged with any crime at this point, and he has always denied any wrongdoing in relation to any of the allegations.
Extraordinary. Oi, it's simply extraordinary. That's what we're getting from British media. He has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Breitbart has the details via the BBC, noting this is the first time the second son of the late Queen, who has faced numerous allegations over his links to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, has been arrested. Andrew is consistently denying wrongdoing. Police did not directly name him, as is normal under UK law, but when asked if he had been arrested, the force pointed to a statement saying they had arrested a man in his 60s. It was his 66th birthday today, and he was apprehended after a raid on his Sandringham home. Sandringham. Indubitably.
Or Sandringham.
There it is. Nailed it. The BBC report the detailed allegations set out in a statement from the Thames Valley Police, which says, as part of the investigation, we have today, the 19th of February, arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office and are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. The man remains in police custody at this time. We will not be naming the arrested man as per national guidance. Please also remember that this case is now active, so care should be taken with any publication to avoid being in contempt of court. Assistant Chief Constable Oliver Wright said, following a thorough assessment, we have now opened an investigation into this allegation of misconduct in public office. We'll bring you more from the local police there on the ground on the way. Joan Jones standing by right now with the headlines on Super Talk.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories, and the forecast is one of the top stories. It's calling for some rain today, and Stefano says that for some of us, it could be more like thunderstorms.
Thunderstorms with some good heavy downpours, maybe a 30, 40 mile per hour wind gust, but the best area for a strong thunderstorm, northern middle Tennessee, southern Kentucky. That's still a low end threat, just 1 out of 5 on that scale.
Now keep it here for the latest and Stefano's full forecast right after the news. Nashville Electric Service has been working hard at its public image. Axios reports that NES brought several communications and lobbyist firms under contract since the winter storm, including consulting firm Stones River Group, which is led by Mark Cate. He's the former Governor Bill Haslam's chief of staff. That contract is worth $110,000 for 4 months of work. That's just one of 3 companies hired by NES since the storm. We are following those developments out of the UK, where former Prince Andrew, now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, was arrested on charges of misconduct while in public office. Now, it's been revealed in the Epstein files that he shared sensitive information with Jeffrey Epstein when Andrew was a trade representative. ABC's Victoria Murphy says the entire royal family is getting a black
What
eye.
we've seen in the past few days is that we've seen members of the royal family heckled on official engagement to an extent that we absolutely have not seen before. And I think that really shows the strength of feeling here, that this is not just an issue, as they keep saying, for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, but it is also sparking huge discussion and debate around the monarchy as a whole.
Andrew has denied any wrongdoing. First Lady Melania Trump's inaugural gown is going on display at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. It's that gown whose fitting was part of the Melania documentary in theaters this month. The Smithsonian displayed her 2017 inaugural gown as well. That is the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. If you think that you need to wait for open enrollment to get health insurance, that is absolutely wrong. Incorrect. A total myth. That's just what the big guys want you to believe. With Cover Nash, you can get covered today, right now, this very instant. No waiting, no gimmicks. You missed open enrollment, no problem. You lost your job coverage, talk to Shane. You're sick of overpriced junk insurance, you're in the right place. You see, Cover Nash partners with over 75 top-rated insurance companies, including brand new nationwide PPO plans with options like deductibles as low as $250, flat $50 doctor visits, ACA compliant plans, free preventative care, plans for individuals, families, self-employed, small businesses. Shane has a plan for you. Stop overpaying, stop waiting, and stop thinking you're stuck. Call Cover Nash today. If I'm a betting man, Shane's sitting at his desk right now waiting for your phone call, 615-465-0023, or you can always hit him up on covernash.com. It's time for you to get some health insurance on your terms, not the government's. 615-465-0023, covernash.com. It's 9:37, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can listen to it anywhere. iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. You can watch us as well. Super Talk TV is up and running on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. We're not as tilted as we were in the first break. Mason came in here and fixed the camera. Shout out to Mason. The guy's unstoppable.
Happy to help. We
were also talking during the break that it feels like the energy, it's shifted when it comes to the Iran talks. Back in June, it seemed like the audience was way more divided on what we do when it comes to Iran. That there was a lot more pushback to the president potentially launching strikes than there is today. And I don't know. I'm just judging based off the conversation online and the reaction from you guys on the Super Text line. It doesn't seem like this is split. And I wonder what goes into that. Is it just that people are trusting the president in this process a lot more, not doubting him, not doubting the planning behind the scenes? I think that has something to do with it. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm not up in arms. The last bombing that took place back in June of 2025, I thought that was going to lead us to a long-term conflict. It did not. Yet it only really provided us short-term stability, because here we are, less than a year later, having the same conversation again. Yet I will say it does seem like the reaction from the audience and the American people is a bit more subdued than it was the first time. President Trump is at his first ever Board of Peace meeting in D.C. right now, and he's surrounded by all of these individuals from the Board of Peace for Gaza. And he had some things to say about Iran. This was the president moments ago.
Qatar, countries, nobody could have signed. You would have had that threat. Nobody could have had, you couldn't have had peace in the Middle East. So now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. You're going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days. But this meeting today is proof with determined leadership, nothing is impossible.
So he says, we may have to take it a step further. He's talking about Iran. Or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. Maybe we're not. You'll find out in 10 days. The unpredictability of Donald Trump is one of his strengths. And I think that we all recognize that at this point. Just because aircraft carriers have been moved to the Middle East doesn't mean that we're going to use them. It might. It might very well mean that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. And it sounds like, according to the president, negotiations are still ongoing. He had more to say about Iran. He went a little bit further, saying that they have to make a deal. And if it doesn't happen, what will happen are bad things.
Now is the time for Iran to join us on a path that will complete what we're doing. And if they join us, that'll be great. If they don't join us, that'll be great too. But it'll be a very different path. They cannot continue to threaten the stability of the entire region, and they must make a deal. Or if that doesn't happen, I maybe can understand. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But bad things will happen if it doesn't. With the commitments announced today, the Board of Peace is proving that
bad things will happen if they don't make a deal. Bad things will happen. This is something that I don't think is going to be necessarily resolved today. I could be wrong. I mean, listen, I don't have a direct line into the White House, but it sounds like the president is saying there's still time for negotiations. You know, he said you'll find out in probably 10 days or less. So while it does seem like military action is imminent, that doesn't mean that it can't be pulled back. We'll keep you updated on all of that, and we'll be paying attention to this story very, very closely. It is fascinating, to say the least. It is nail-biting at times as well. I just pray that we don't get involved in any conflict where it's long-term with boots on the ground. I think that is a recipe for disaster. So pray for peace. Prepare for war. It seems like that's what the administration is doing right now. And we'll be over here praying for peace as well. In the meantime, the other big story in the country is Prince Andrew. And it's a big story in our country because of the implications with the Epstein files. And it's a big story in our country because we want to see this level of accountability. If a member of the royal family can be arrested in England over his ties to Epstein, then what is the holdup on some of the individuals that we know were tied into Epstein here in America? And where's our DOJ? Like, what's going on? These are the questions that we have. So Prince Andrew was arrested. The BBC reported the detailed the allegations set out in a statement from the police that arrested him. It said, as part of the investigation, we have today arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office and are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. The man remains in police custody at this time. We will not be naming the arrested man as per national guidance. Please also remember that this case is now active. So care should be taken with any publication to avoid being in contempt of court. Assistant Chief Constable Oliver Wright said following a thorough assessment, we have now opened an investigation into this allegation of misconduct in public office. It is important that we protect the integrity and objectivity of our investigation as we work with our partners to investigate this alleged offense. We understand the significant public interest in this case, and we will provide updates at the appropriate time. The BBC further reports that the arrest comes after unmarked cars were seen earlier Wednesday morning at Sandringham in Norfolk, where he has been living since leaving his home in Windsor. Andrew stepped back from royal duties in 2019 following allegations by the late Virginia Giuffre that she was trafficked to have sex with him 3 times, including twice when she was 17. King Charles III then stripped his brother of royal titles and honors late last year after Giuffre recounted the claims in shocking detail in a posthumous memoir. The king made his move preemptively to freeze Andrew out of the royal family, even though nothing had then or even has now been proven in court. We have an update from the Buckingham Palace. They had released a statement regarding the arrest, saying a statement from His Majesty the King. I have learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew and suspicion of misconduct in public office. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by appropriate authorities. In this, as I have said before, they have our full and wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state this clearly, the law must take its course. As this process continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on this matter. Meanwhile, my family and I will continue in our duty and service to you all, Charles R. That's what we got from the king. It's it. You have to understand, it's a wild turn of events, right? From where we were 5 years ago on the Epstein files, where individuals would call you a conspiracy theorist for even saying anything about the Epstein files, to where we are today, where the King of England has to make a statement because his brother was arrested. It's just insanity, right? Like, we have come so far on the Epstein road. I want to see more accountability and more handcuffs here in America. But golly, we're reaching a critical mass when it comes to this stuff, and that's pretty awesome. I'm here for it. The former girlfriend of Prince Andrew, his ex-girlfriend, Lady Victoria Hervey, she's claiming that Prince Andrew was set up to bring down the royal family. Who was she set up by, you may ask? Well, she was on Piers Morgan, and she said that Prince Andrew was set up by Israel.
I want this guy to stay alive.
But what is the motive
in this case?
What is the motive of the person who, in your view, falsified this photograph?
Oh, well, they were taking down the royal family, weren't they?
Well, who were?
Maybe Israel. Who knows?
Israel? Goodness me, come on. What do you mean, who knows? I mean, you're putting forward all these photographs. You've got no...
This is real.
No, it's not. This is all false.
Okay, all right.
This
well, maybe go back to bed.
Why would Israel be taking down the British royal family?
Tell me that.
Well, you tell us. You're the one who raised it.
This is a fact.
You raised it, that Israel is behind...
Calm down, old man. Look, just
tell me to
chill.
calm down. You're the person...
Why would Israel be trying to concoct a
to
picture to shame the royal family?
I don't know, because...
Well, you just said it.
I'm not talking about those agencies right now. I made that clear. What I have...
You just said it was Israel.
Without talking about that, this is hard
we want
facts.
to talk about that. What is the genesis of your conspiracy
Tom,
theory?
just stop. This isn't a conspiracy. These people do not fit in that space. I've measured it. They do not physically fit. This guy on the left is 5'8", 5'9" at highest with his hair, and he's higher up in the doorframe than Andrew is.
But in answer to Tom's question,
it doesn't add up.
Who had the motivation to do this?
Who is behind Jeffrey Epstein? Like, who is that? We don't know exactly who that is. Who put Jeffrey up to this? Who told him to set Prince Andrew up?
Well, nobody said, because...
So that was Prince Andrew's ex-girlfriend, Lady Victoria Hervey. And she's very upset. She's claiming that Israel has set him up. She's claiming that the photographs of Andrew are doctored, and she doesn't bring any facts to back it up. Now, are there rumors that he was involved with the Mossad? 100%. There's also allegations that he was involved with MI6 and the CIA. And I think that multiple things of this can be true at the exact same time. Epstein could have been playing all of these intelligence agencies against one another. That's not out of the realm of possibility. One of the reasons why we're not seeing a lot of action here on the United States side could be how closely he was tied with the CIA, not just with the Mossad. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. It could have been how closely he was working with MI6, another great ally of the United States. Multiple things could be true at the exact same time. But when you bring extraordinary claims, you got to bring extraordinary evidence. And saying that photographs were doctored and she's measured the space, that doesn't hold a lot of weight with me. It seems like she's trying to cover for Prince Andrew, which I don't think there's any covering for this guy at this point. I think it's been pretty clearly documented that he was involved with Epstein. And you can make the argument about the photographs. Okay, well then now make an argument about Virginia Giuffre and her statements. There is no argument there. I don't know what her motivations are, but it's very rarely that I find myself agreeing with Piers Morgan. I'm like, okay, well, I'm kind of with Piers. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, so step up. And I'm all ears, by the way. Like I'm not against this theory because it has to do with Israel. I just want more information. And I think that's what we should all be asking for, information and clarity when it comes to the Epstein files. That's what we've been demanding for years and years and years. What if Israel isn't behind it? What if Israel is? These are all things that we want to get to the bottom of. Virginia Giuffre, though, has said that she was trafficked to Prince Andrew multiple times. This is an interview with Virginia Giuffre with NBC News and Savannah Guthrie a couple years back.
First time in London, I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey, and Ghislaine said, "He's coming back to the house, and I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein." I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved.
Even royalty. Well, believe it, my friends, because as of today, Prince Andrew has been arrested. We'll keep you updated on that story as new information becomes available. Don't forget as well, we're monitoring the situation with the United States and Iran. I don't think anything is going to happen today. It seems like from the statements this morning at the Board of Peace meeting with President Trump that we got at least a week before anybody starts making moves, although things could change at a moment's notice. And if they do, we'll have the latest for you right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at the Glock Store. Like a lot of our neighbors, the Glock Store was also out of power a couple weeks back with the storm. Power's back, and so is the Glock Store. The retail showroom, the Shoot 270 indoor ranges, open for business, and they are offering some incredible deals during their Great Ice Storm of 2026 sale. These deals include the new Glock GTL2 weapon lights for less than $155, the 43X magazines for under $19, the Savior Specialist range bags in the limited edition Desert Night and Tiger Stripe camo. Those are in stock and on sale, and there's much, much more. Plus, the brand new M1X Coyote frames are also in stock and ready for immediate pickup. And the deal is still going on. If you pre-order a Gen 6 Glock and you mention my name, Chris Hand, you'll get a free extra magazine when you pick it up. This is a limited time offer, so you need to act fast. It's all from my friends at the Glock Store, powered up, ready for business, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, and always open online. Glockstore.com.
Coming up, what the buildup of U.S. warships in the Middle East is signifying. Also, Kilmar Abrego Garcia due back in court in Nashville next week. That and more at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. It's 9:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, don't forget, 10:30, Chloe Cole's going to be joining the show, detransitioner. An incredible story. This girl is just absolutely a warrior against the genital mutilation of minors, and she's a warrior because she dealt with it firsthand. We're going to have a great conversation with Chloe, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys stick around for that. In the meantime, we have been discussing Prince Andrew and the Epstein files. We've also been discussing the latest on the U.S.-Iranian tensions. But the Prince Andrew stuff is wild, and I don't mean to single Michelle out, but in the YouTube chat, Michelle said she was 17 years old, talking about Virginia Giuffre. I was married at 17 years old. Sick of this topic. And I just thought to myself, this is a big deal. The brother of the King of England just got arrested.
No, that's massive.
It's a massive deal. And then I got a text from Sandra on the text line. She goes, Andrew was arrested over giving away trade secrets, not the sexual allegations. And I said, true. But I would go back to what I heard Sam and Dan talking about earlier this morning. It's the equivalent of Al Capone being arrested on tax evasion charges.
Yep.
At least it feels that way to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it feels like to me. Somebody on the YouTube chat said Michelle's in the files on the YouTube chat. Yeah, hilarious. Listen, I love the conversation. You guys are welcome to join the show any way you want. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. No matter how you slice it. That is a big deal that Prince Andrew has been arrested. It just is. Meanwhile, we still have the Board of Peace meeting going on in D.C., the Gaza Board of Peace. J.D. Vance is down there. Marco Rubio is down there. Donald Trump had issued a major warning to Iran. We played this moments ago, but it's worth playing again.
It's the time for Iran to join us on a path that will complete what we're doing. And if they join us, that'll be great. If they don't join us, that'll be great too. But it'll be a very different path. They cannot continue to threaten the stability of the entire region, and they must make a deal. Or if that doesn't happen, I maybe can understand. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But bad things will happen if it doesn't.
And you can tell by the military force buildup that the United States is ready for bad things to happen should bad things need to happen. I'm just going to trust the president on this one. I hope that we don't go to war with Iran. I hope that there's no situation where boots on the ground seem to be the only option. It doesn't seem like that's the case here. And all of the rumored stuff behind the scenes is that they're talking about a long bombing campaign. A couple weeks, maybe not. There's also talks from the president this morning at the Board of Peace meeting that they still got about 10 days. He said, hey, you'll find out probably within 10 days. This is the president earlier this morning.
Qatar, countries, nobody could have signed. You would have had that threat. You couldn't have had peace in the Middle East. So now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. You're going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days.
So when the president says that this morning, it makes me think that nothing is going to happen today. I absolutely could be wrong. I don't have a fly on the wall inside their private meetings, but that's kind of what we're going to take at face value. I don't think it's going to happen today, but it could happen very soon. However, it looks like there's still time for Iran to come to the negotiating table. On the way, we got a lot more to talk about. Immigration is still a huge topic. The midterms are still a huge topic. A new op-ed came out from the Wall Street Journal saying that the Democrats have already lost 2028. That's an interesting take. We'll talk about that when we get back. It's 10 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10:01. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Watch yourself on 24 eastbound this morning. It's that milling and paving project in Laverne, and it's taking out two right lanes. It is between Waldron and Sam Ridley Parkway, and it's very, very slow in that area. Also, a crash I-65 southbound before I-40 west, and that is in the right shoulder. It is blocked in that area this morning. Multiple media outlets reporting that President Trump was rushed into a crisis meeting this morning with top advisors over Iran, and that the president may be set to strike Iran within hours. ABC News is reporting that the USS Gerald Ford, the world's largest aircraft carrier, is now headed to the Middle East, joined by 5 destroyers equipped with air defense systems that can shoot down incoming missiles and tomahawks that can strike targets 1,000 miles away.
This rapid escalation comes as new satellite images show Iran repairing and fortifying sites, and despite those ongoing nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran. Now, both sides say some progress has been made, but that they are still very far apart. And a senior U.S. official tells ABC News that Iran is expected to submit a written proposal aimed at resolving these issues in the coming weeks, but it's unclear when. And the White House is refusing to set a deadline for when President Trump will decide what comes next.
That's ABC's Mary Bruce. Now, President Trump hosted the first Board of Peace meeting this morning, announcing the U.S. will contribute $10 billion to the rebuilding of Gaza efforts. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, arrested today. And while his arrest is related to the Jeffrey Epstein files, it is not related to sex trafficking.
This pertains to emails, we believe, that were published recently in the most recent Epstein files published by the Department of Justice, which seem to suggest, they allege that Andrew was forwarding emails to Jeffrey Epstein whilst he was trade envoy here in the UK. Now, as a public official, that is misconduct. That is what the police are alleging. That's the charges that they presumably are bringing to him if they do indeed charge him.
ABC correspondent James Longman. Today, by the way, is Andrew's birthday. He turned 66. New court filings in the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case show that the Maryland man was originally detained as he stood in line for day work at a Home Depot alongside 2 other men. The Tennessee Star reports one of those 3 men had been wanted for murder, although documents don't say which one. Additionally, the local police force had determined that Abrego Garcia was a member of MS-13. He is due in Nashville court next week on charges of human smuggling. At East Nashville High School yesterday, staff noticed a student doing something suspicious in the woods. They checked it out and found 2 guns stashed in the tree line.
According to Metro Police, the guns were found in a wood line by the football stadium. One of the guns was reported stolen back in 2024 during a car break-in. The 16-year-old is charged in juvenile court for carrying the weapons onto school property and firearm theft.
That's News 2's Kendall Ashman. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
gubernatorial.
It's 10:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can find me on every social media platform that matters at Chris Hand on Air. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, True Social, YouTube, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, all those things, and I'll do the same back. Appreciate you guys, as always, helping us grow the digital footprint of the radio station. We're on YouTube and Rumble live every single day. Hit like and subscribe for that as well. Wall Street Journal, scathing op-ed is how Daily Mail describes it, explaining why the Democrats have already lost the 2028 election. Is this counting chickens before they hatch? It very well could be. Very well could be. But I found this interesting, and I think you will as well. Democrats have a lackluster field of presidential candidates to choose from. Yeah. Yep. So far, so good. It's pretty obvious. I mean, AOC was like a favorite, right? And then you saw how she did in Munich. Not too good. Not exactly crushing it.
Yeah, she was there.
You know it's bad when people are like, maybe Hillary Clinton is actually a better choice. It's bad. They say they have a lackluster field of presidential candidates to choose from in 2028. While no candidate has declared an intention to run, long-shot candidate and ESPN pundit Stephen A. Smith admitted he's giving it strong consideration in an interview on Sunday. Yeah, I think, listen, I do. I still think, and I made this statement a while back, I think that Stephen A. Smith could be one of the favorites for the Democrat nominee in 2028. I really do. Matthew Continetti believes Smith's presence shows that the Democrats have already thrown the race to whomever will succeed Donald Trump for the GOP in 2028. The conservative pundit listed several names of Democrat contenders and said every one of them has weakness, citing polling data in the Wall Street Journal op-ed. He called out Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom as the favorites and then slammed them for being more of the same, saying Miss Harris would have to defend a Biden administration that voters repudiated after 4 years. He also made Newsom has perfected the art of anti-Trump trolling, but his governor record leaves him vulnerable. He says he spent 2 decades making the Golden State into a progressive petri dish of high taxes, stultifying regulations, and woke culture. Continetti is no more favorable to the rest of the field, calling out AOC's amateur hour appearance at the Munich Security Conference. He also notes the Democrat Party's drift into her brand of socialism raises troubling questions about the party's futures. He says a radicalized base animated by an anti-Trump resistance may be an asset in special and midterm elections, but open borders, social disorder, and transgender ideology have hurt Democrats in presidential years. They will do so again if unchecked. Is the blue wave that we're hearing about when it comes to the midterms overplayed? Is 2028 for the Democrats already lost? This is the point that they're trying to make. When it comes to the blue wave for midterms, even CNN yesterday was saying, I would pump the brakes on the blue wave talk, especially when it comes to governors and state power.
Electoral races nationwide should stand as a wake-up call for Democrats, because take a look here. The race raiders, governors post-2026 election, at least tilting to the Republicans. Look at this. A majority, 26. That is, at this point, the number of governors that are expected, at least tilting towards the Republican Party at this point. Democrats come in at just 20. The rest of the races are toss-up. Of course, you sum up to 50. And I will note that the Republicans right now hold a 26 to 24 gubernatorial seat advantage. So at this point, it doesn't look like Republicans on the net and the aggregate are actually going to lose any governorships. In fact, when you add in those toss-ups, they may gain. So this should stand as a major wake-up call to Democrats, because if there's a wave building, it has not, at least at this point, hit the state level when it comes to governorships.
If there's a wave building, it's not at the state level when it comes to governorships. That's the key takeaway from the CNN polling. So should we feel bullish on the midterms? I mean, I don't know. I think you can go either way, right? Trump on True Social talked about the positives that he's been able to do when it comes to the economy, which was going to be one of the major talking points for the Democrats heading into the midterms, which seems to be less and less of a talking point the more it goes on. He said the United States trade deficit has been reduced by 78% because of the tariffs being charged to other companies and countries. It will go into positive territory during this year for the first time in many decades. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It does look like the things and the steps that Donald Trump is taking is going to be winning for the administration come midterm time. Susie Wiles and other top Trump team members hosted a Capitol Hill midterm strategy session yesterday with nearly 100 power players, and they were talking about what are the issues that we need to focus on as Republicans. And the number one that they're leaning towards is the economy. Housing affordability, health insurance transparency data, lowering drug costs, tax cuts, banning stock trading for Congress. And per Mark Halperin, pollster Tony Fabrizio recommended focusing on podcasts and social media, saying Trump is going to be running his own instincts-driven 2024 style blitz, and everyone else needs to stay on message driven by the data. That's the game plan. And he's already lowering drug prices. We're seeing that. I saw this circulating the internet yesterday. There's a guy working at a pharmacy, local pharmacist, and he's like, man, if you could see what these prices are dropping, specifically with the Trump RX, you're seeing some of these products like the GLP-1s going from $1,349 to $199.
This is a way to get some better prices on brand name specific products.
As an example, he showed me Wegovy.
We get the pen and the pill.
Available for $199 on Trump RX, which he says is the lowest cash price anywhere.
Yeah, the actual price that it was being charged was $1,349. That's insanity. And a lot of Americans take these drugs. I'm not exactly a huge fan of these GLP-1s. I think that shortcuts lead to long-term problems. But, hey, I digress. Some Americans are in a spot where they need that little extra boost, and I understand. And hey, you do your own risk-reward analysis when it comes to your medicine for you. That's not for me to judge. But the price is coming down. The American people are going to judge that, and they're going to give the credit to the Trump administration. He's also going to be barnstorming Georgia today ahead of the 2026 midterms. We're going to see this a lot. The president is going to be visiting a couple local businesses in Georgia today. This is after he just had his Board of Peace meeting here in D.C., and he's going to be giving a speech on the efforts that he's making to make life more affordable for all Americans. Caroline Leavitt laid this out yesterday.
Tomorrow afternoon, the president will travel to the great state of Georgia, where he will visit 2 local businesses and give a speech on his efforts to make life affordable for working people. On Friday, President Trump will host a work.
So you're seeing the president make the rounds, making the case for the 2026 midterms. I do think a lot is going to come back onto what happens here in Iran, what happens with the Epstein files, and to a lesser extent, what happens with Russia and Ukraine. The latest on that has been wild, to say the least. Zelensky is just not wanting to have any kind of peace talks, it feels like. He's just storming out. He's going to keep fighting until every last dollar that he's been giving in aid has been spent, it seems. The Independent had a breakdown on the latest Russia-Ukraine peace talks. The White House has hit back at Zelensky after these difficult talks ended after 2 hours. The White House has hit back at, this is from The Independent, the White House has hit back at Vladimir Zelensky after he said the U.S. was piling undue pressure on Kyiv to end the war. Zelensky said Trump's insistence that Ukraine should compromise what was not fair ahead of the trilateral talks in Geneva, which ended abruptly on Wednesday after just 2 hours. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said that Trump believes the war has been very unfair, not just for the Russians and Ukrainians who have lost their lives, but also for the American people and the American taxpayer who were footing the bill for this war effort before President Trump put a stop to it. Both sides have said they're willing to continue peace talks in the future, though it's not clear when or where this will take place. Zelensky said he was dissatisfied with the lack of progress in Geneva, insisting that sensitive political matters and the need for compromise had not been properly addressed. As of today, we cannot say the result is sufficient, Zelensky said. Basically, what we have is Zelensky complaining that Trump is pressuring him inappropriately to accept Russia's deal, and that it is the Ukrainian people who won't allow him to cede land in exchange for peace. He's then accused Russia of dragging out peace talks and left the peace negotiations after 2 hours of questioning if Trump, Vance, and Rubio truly care about Ukraine And then immediately after that, he did a full 180 and demanded that a new summit be organized. And that will somehow be different for a reason that he doesn't exactly make clear. Zelensky seems to be in way over his head here. And I think the Ukrainian people would just be absolutely upgraded if they could get somebody new in leadership. You know, you want to talk about regime change when it comes to places like Iran. How about regime change when it comes to a place like Ukraine? I mean, honestly, that has been a meat grinder for how long? How many more millions of lives do we need to lose until both these guys just say, okay, enough is enough? Just cede the territory and call it a day. Just seems ridiculous. But the war will continue to go on until morale improves, apparently. Donald Trump yesterday held a massive event for Black History Month. And Caroline Leavitt, before the event, Caroline Leavitt was doing the White House press briefing. And this reporter, Ed Markey, off of CBS, he asked for examples of people falsely calling the president racist.
The fact that I'm falsely and consistently called a racist by the scoundrels and lunatics on the radical left, Democrats all, it was always my pleasure to help Jesse along the way. Where or when does the president believe he's been falsely called racist?
You're kidding, right? I will pull you plethora of examples. I'm going to get my team in that room to start going through the internet of radical Democrats throughout the years, Ed, who have accused this president falsely of being a racist. And I'm sure there's many people in this room and on network television across the country who have accused him of the same. In fact, I know that because I've seen it with my own eyes.
I love how you're kidding, right? And the entire room just busts out laughing. Because we all know that it has happened over and over and over again. I mean, one of the biggest hoaxes when it came to President Trump was the very fine people on both sides. Remember that? Yeah. This is a tale as old as time. When has President Trump been falsely accused of being racist? When has President Trump woken up? It's probably a day where he's been falsely accused of being racist. Whether it's the media or other politicians, it goes on and on and on. I mean, it just blows my mind that she would even be forced to answer a question like that. When has he been falsely accused of being racist? All the time. Over and over and over again. It never ceases to exist. Donald Trump is the most evil, bigoted, racist president of all time. Orange man bad. But when exactly? Okay, got it. These are questions that you don't even really need to dignify with a response. I thought Caroline Leavitt was very good in her answer. But, yeah, the president gets accused of being racist all the time. He did have a big event over yesterday afternoon over at the White House, Black History Month. And one of my favorite things that he said was Black history, it's really just American history.
4th, 2026, because Black History Month is really all about American history. And this is a big year. This is a big year for you. During my first term, I was honored to deliver unprecedented victories for Black Americans and all Americans, frankly. But Black Americans, I single-handedly secured record long-term funding for. I told you the historically Black colleges and universities. I created nearly 9,000 opportunity zones.
Yeah, he's a terrible racist, actually. You know, when you actually look at the details. He's one of the worst racists. He's not. Oh, well, the Democrats tell you he's not good at anything. He's even bad at being a racist. He also did give Jesse Jackson, the late Jesse Jackson, a shout out while he was there. And again, just a terrible racist.
A person who I knew very well. Jesse was a piece of work. I want to tell you, he was a piece of work, but he was a good man. He was a real hero, and I just want to pay my highest respects to Reverend Jesse Jackson. He's a good man.
So apparently, all the people cheering are Black Americans who are also just racist. I've never seen so many Black racists in a room at one time. It's unbelievable. And then this evil racist had the audacity to invite these Black American racists up to the podium.
President, here's you. This president cares for you. Don't let anyone tell you that this president right here, Donald Trump, is not for Black America, because he is. I'm standing here today I'm standing here today as a testament to how he feels about Black Americans. There has never been a position like this. I don't know if there ever will be before. But I worked with him in his first term, and I'm proud to now officially have the title to make it happen. Let's get real with the realness. Let's get behind President Trump, who truly has turned our nation around and made us the envy of every country in the world. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, God, for recognizing and raising up this man to be the leader of the free world.
That was Alice Marie Johnson. She is a criminal justice reform advocate. She spent 21 years in prison before her sentence was commuted by President Trump in June of 2018. And now she is Donald Trump's pardon czar. You talk about racism. He's just terrible at it. He's one of the worst. 1023, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Do you have any idea what kind of water you're drinking at the house or what kind of water you're bathing in or bathing your kids or grandkids in? If the answer to that is no, you need to call my friends at Better Water LLC today. What's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Better Water. They're going to test your water for free. This is the best peace of mind that you could ever get anywhere. Yes, I said the most best. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. It's the most best. You might have some nasty stuff in there. We're talking about sulfur, iron, chlorine, bacteria, even E. coli, and you don't even know it. And you're drinking this water. You're making coffee with this water. You're bathing in this water. Better Water will come out to test your water for free. If you have it, they're going to offer a range of options. Reverse osmosis, specialized filters, UV lights. If your water's clean and clear, they'll tell you that as well. But these guys know water. They're a local company based out of Smyrna. They serve all of Middle Tennessee. You've probably tasted their work already and you don't even know. See, they're already testing and treating the water at local coffee shops and hospitals around town. So it's time for you to take the next step. Call Better Water today and say, can you guys test my water for free? And if you got the junk in there, stop drinking the junk out of your tap. Better Water is going to clean it up for you. 615-355-6063. 615-355-6063. And you can always find them online, betterwater.com. It's 1028, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. Very excited about the next guest that we have in studio. She's in town for NRB, right? The Religious Broadcasters meeting. And I'm excited to have you in studio. Chloe Cole is joining us. What's up, Chloe? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I've had a busy week, and it's ramping up to be a pretty good one.
Your story has been gaining a lot of traction over the past couple years. You are one of the loudest and most vocal detransitioners out there. We got about a minute and a half here before we got to hit news, and then we're going to dive more into your story. But what has changed recently that has made your story get a lot more attention?
Well, it's quite the time to ask that, considering how much news is going on around this, not just medically with all these hospitals shutting down, including one in New York City, I believe.
Yep.
And there also have been the recent unfortunate transgender shootings at schools by trans perpetrators, as well as my case. I'm suing my doctors, the clinic, and Kaiser Permanente, who all were complicit in my transition and pushed me further into the medical process. And I just got my trial date for April 5th of next year.
Let's go. Congratulations. I cannot wait to see what kind of fruit is coming off that tree.
Thank you so much.
I've used your story as an example many, many times, because I think one of the most evil things about it is not just how they basically groomed you into this, but how they also duped your parents. And I think that's a story that doesn't get told a lot. You know, a lot of times people will hear the stories about transgender youth and they'll blame the parents. But your story in particular, it's eye-opening to see how parents can be pulled into that.
Yes, I think that my mom and dad, in some ways, they were harmed as much as I was. They had their single greatest fear that my life would be at risk, that I could die, be used against them by the doctors, being told that it was basically transition or death, as early intervention as possible, meaning medical intervention, including drugs and surgery, or I end up becoming so dysphoric, so uncomfortable with my body that it makes me want to end my own life. And as a parent, it's already hard enough to deal with this and be told by your own kid that they hate themselves so much they want to be somebody who they are not. But to have the doctors corroborate that and then say that it's potentially life-ending stuff, that's horrific. I'd never hoped to know what my mom and dad went through, and I feel for them, and I feel for really every parent who's going through this. There are a lot of people who assume, in my case, that my mom and dad were pushing for this, that they manipulated me into this. That was absolutely not the case. They loved me. They knew who I was from the beginning. They knew I was not transgender, that I was not a boy, and they did their best actually to push back. But when you're constantly being told by clinicians, by people who have degrees, by people who are part of this profession who we once entrusted with the care of our children, it's especially in those years when nobody was really speaking up against it, they really had no chance.
I mean, it's pure evil. We're gonna dive in more to Chloe's story here when we get back from the news, talk about how it started and where we are today. Really excited to have you in studio. Thank you so much. Chloe Cole's here with us. It's 10:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got the latest here on the arrest of Prince Andrew from ABC correspondent James Longman.
Thames Valley Police here in the UK put out a statement. They haven't named him specifically, but they are saying a man in his 60s has been arrested. As part of the investigation, they say we have today arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office and are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. They say the man remains in police custody at this time. They are not, like I say, naming Andrew, but we know that it is him.
Emails in the Epstein files point to Andrew passing secret information to Jeffrey Epstein during his time as a trade envoy. This arrest is not related to sex trafficking. It is a done deal. The Metropolitan Nashville Airport Authority voting unanimously to do business with the Boring Company and the Music City Loop. Here's News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry.
This vote authorizes a license agreement with the Boring Company, beginning the process toward construction. Under the agreement, the Boring Company will pay BNA $34 million in license fees over 50 years, about $680,000 just for the right to operate the tunnel.
The loop could be open as soon as 2027. Some money news. The U.S. full-year trade deficit fell to $901 billion, and that's down slightly from the year before. Also, the number of Americans signing up for jobless benefits fell again last week.
2 weeks ago, the Labor Department said 227,000 initial jobless claims were filed, a decline of 5,000 from the week before. In the week ending February 14th, the figure plunged by 23,000. The more stable 4-week moving average also fell by 1,000. In all, 1.86 million Americans are collecting state unemployment benefits.
ABC's Jim Ryan. That is the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
How can you grow your business from idea to industry leader? With smart business buying tools and technology from Amazon Business. From fast, free shipping to in-depth buying insights and automated purchase approvals, we deliver everything you need. Go to amazonbusiness.com for support.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
I'm WSMV4 First Alert meteorologist Stefano DiPietro. Couple of rain showers this morning, but plenty of dry time coming this afternoon. Very warm, very breezy today, low to the mid-70s, winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. This evening and into early tonight between 7 p.m. and midnight, we'll have a line of showers and thunderstorms move through. There could be a couple of strong thunderstorms in northern Middle Tennessee and southern Kentucky. No tornado threat, but storms could produce heavy downpours and gusty winds, and get ready for a cool down heading into the weekend.
It's 10:38, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, joined in studio by Chloe Cole. Maybe you've heard her story before, but we're excited to have her in studio to tell us her story firsthand. So welcome to the show, Chloe. I really appreciate you being in here.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Chloe is one of the loudest voices in the detransitioning movement. I think that might be a good place to start. What is the detransitioning movement?
It's a movement of people who have gone through the so-called gender transition process, both socially and medically, but have chosen to step back from the lifestyle permanently and re-embrace the way that God has created them as male and female.
Which is an incredible thing. And God is so good, like you can always be redeemed. But
Amen.
This movement gets shouted down quite a bit. You guys are labeled transphobes. You are silenced. You are shunned. And it's really hard to get any noise made from this movement.
Yeah, it's been that way for a very long time until very recently.
What has changed?
I think the single biggest thing that has brought about cultural change is the fact that the detransitioner community has chosen to step up and show the horrors of doing this to the human body, especially to children, and really help to dismantle the ideology around this that has infected our institutions in certain areas, even our own governments, and big parts of our culture that were not really privy to the fact that this is something that happens, and that this abuse is happening to young people in the first place.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't see the stories. They don't see the lead up to all of this, and that's why your story is so important. So I'd love for you to take us kind of down that trip of memory lane, if you can, and kind of lay out how this all started for you and how your parents were swept up in it, how the medical industry kind of groomed you guys down this path, and then how you got to the place you're in now.
Sure. I mean, I was always a little bit on the tomboyish side, growing up as the youngest of 5 kids and having 2 older brothers who I always looked up to a little bit more and leaned more towards in terms of my hobbies, my interests, even my personality and my sense of humor. But I never saw this as something that took away from who I was. I saw it as something that was a strength, that was unique. But as I started to get older, as I started to move into middle school, and even before then, I was hitting puberty a little bit earlier, it started to set me apart from other people my age, not just within my sex, but also when you start developing and people start noticing that part of you, it's not just uncomfortable, but it separates you from them. And I started to feel like I was just different in every way, and I couldn't figure out like what could possibly have been wrong with me. And as a girl, I naturally already was very judgmental of myself. And I think that a lot of women who grow up in the age of social media can speak to the fact that you're very conscious of your body and all the responsibilities that come with growing from a girl into a woman. And then you have this other very complex layer on top of it of these images of other already fully grown women that are often very doctored, have a bunch of makeup on, have had maybe some work done even, and it feels like you could never win. I would look at the
standards are too high.
Right. I would look at myself in the mirror, like coming home from school or even like before showers, and think like, I'm never going to be pretty enough. I'm never going to be curvy enough. And I'm not even feminine enough. I don't feel feminine enough as a girl. So why did God make me why wasn't I just born a boy? Why couldn't I have been born like my older brothers? I would have been so much happier. But I didn't believe that I was actually a boy until I learned about transgenderism on social media.
So I guess I would ask, what came first? Is it the chicken or the egg? Did these thoughts come to your mind first, or did you see these thoughts on social media first that kind of snowballed into your own thoughts?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, the feelings of insecurity and of, I guess, incongruence with my peers were something that had been there for a long while before I framed it in my head as being gender dysphoria.
And how old are you at this time as you're kind of going through this process? You're feeling uncomfortable. What age are you?
Well, I hit puberty at about 9. And then I started to become really uncomfortable with myself when I was about 12. And that was when I started to connect with the transgender community.
And what does that look like, connecting with the transgender community? Because you'll hear the stories of grooming online and being love bombed. They're like, wow, maybe you'd feel more comfortable as a boy. You should try and cut your hair. And then you get bombed with a bunch of compliments. Like, you look great. Is this kind of the same process as was happening to you online, or was yours a little bit different?
Sure. I mean, that didn't really start the pushing further into it, and the encouragement and the celebration didn't really happen until I was actually started on the medical process.
Okay.
But the initial phase was very subliminal. It started with me following pages on like Instagram that were just like around my personal interests, like video games, musicians, typical stuff for a 12-year-old girl. And it was filled with these other like 12-year-old kids who would not only talk about these interests, but also like their own lives and interject it with politics as well, in a very immature fashion, considering we all were like tweens and teenagers. But I was learning about these ideas of feminism, queer theory, these different like leftist ideas that eventually led to transgenderism, which was the one that I personally found the most interesting because it had all these like new flags, these new colors, these phrases, and this connection to identity that was very, very novel, very intellectually stimulating for me at the time. And I was very curious about these people. And the more that I learned about them, the more that it felt like I really related to them. And what started as curiosity became questioning. And that questioning led into me thinking, well, maybe I'm not as feminine as I need to be in order to be a woman. I don't feel pretty all the time. I don't like that my body is developing faster than my mind is. But maybe it's not just normal teenage insecurity. Maybe it's because I'm actually supposed to be a young man. And from that point on, I believed myself to be, on some level, a young man who just so happened to be trapped in the body of a young woman, and that the only way I could get out of that trap was by taking these drugs. And this was all information that I was learning from this community, as well as official medical resources, including my own healthcare provider.
So when you're going down this road, at a certain point, there's the conversation with your parents. Did you bring the conversation to your parents, or did your parents bring the conversation to you?
Well, my mom and dad were completely unaware of what I was seeing online, and they thought that the changes in the way that I was dressing and me cutting my hair shorter over time were just me being a typical tomboyish girl. And maybe in previous generations that would have been the case, but it wasn't until I told them and I wrote a letter to them about what was going on that they had any clue about that. And it was a complete shock to them. They knew that I was always a little bit more on the boyish side, but I don't think any parent expects or wants to hear their kid tell them, I hate myself, I hate my body, I don't want to be me. I want to become somebody other than the person who God made me.
I can only imagine that is a tough conversation, not just for you, but for your parents. Probably one of the hardest conversations that they could have had with you.
It was not easy for them, no. And they were at a loss because they wanted to help me feel comfortable in my own skin. They had no problem with me wearing boys' clothes or dressing like a boy, which I don't think that there is a problem with that either. A lot of kids at that age tend to, especially girls, tend to experiment a little bit. But they just didn't know what to do with me or where this is coming from, where these ideas were coming from. So their natural first thought was, okay, we're going to do whatever research we can and get you psychological help, because this is clearly a psychological issue. And they were right about that. But they were not expecting the response that they would get from our doctors.
Before we get into the response from the medical community, we're talking with Chloe Cole, a just loud and brave detransitioner. Do you think any of this happens if you don't have access to social media?
Having spoken to a lot of women across different generations, it's actually very common to have these different feelings of not just being a tomboy and relating more to the boys, but also the insecurity in wanting to turn back time when you go through puberty and just not wanting to grow up and deal with womanhood. But in previous generations, we used to deal with that by just allowing these children to grow up without intervening and allowing the feelings to resolve on their own.
So you would blame social media to a certain extent?
Absolutely. It's been, I think, one of the biggest drivers of this in my generation.
If you had your own children, are you letting them on social media at that age?
I think definitely not at that age, not that young. I think that there's a middle ground between never letting your kids use computers or technology at all and just like letting them do screw all with whatever they want on computers. But I think that it's an important skill for children to have, to know how to use technology and information technology and the internet as a tool of connection, networking, and learning. But not enough parents really educate themselves enough on how to do that and how to talk with their kids about the dangers of it, and as well as like how to properly watch them and have open discussions about that. And that is something that I want to maintain with my own children one day and introduce them to it when they're maybe a little bit older.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the dangers out there kind of outweigh the positives. So you have this conversation with your parents. It's incredibly tough. And they say, okay, well, we're going to help, because that's what any good parent would do. So they want to talk to a psychiatrist. Is that the first step? Or what's the first step after that conversation with your mom and dad?
It started with a therapist. And I went through several therapists through the years, because a lot of them, I think the profession of therapy has just been so, it's not what it used to be. It's full of doctors who just don't really care about what they're doing, and they're in it for, maybe some of them are in it for money, some of them are in it because I don't know. But the first two ones I had were just, they weren't very competent, and they kind of just like let me sit in my own misery without like really asking questions as to where these feelings were coming from. And just at best, they were just affirming me in my preferred name and pronouns. That was it. It wasn't until my mom and dad started to get more involved, because they're watching me actually start to get worse, even though I was going to therapy, that the doctors really started to push on them and tell them, hey, your kid is talking about how uncomfortable she is with your body, and we suggest that you get her to an endocrinologist as soon as possible so she can receive hormone treatments. And they were like, no way. You don't think that she's way too young for that. She's 12 going on 13, going into 8th grade, hasn't even gone to high school yet. What are the permanent consequences of doing that? Why can't we just wait until she's an adult? She can legally consent to all this herself. The burden isn't on us. And she's a lot more mature.
Right.
And hopefully we'll have a better understanding of what it is that she'll want as an adult. But they were told, nope. Your child might kill herself if you don't allow her to do this as soon as possible. And they heard this from almost every single doctor who was involved in the transition process, from therapists, psychologists, and I think even during the referral process to surgery and hormones.
I mean, it feels like the ultimate guilt trip. Either you do this, or your child's going to commit suicide.
Yes, it's emotional manipulation in the most cruel way possible.
Do you think that this is isolated to you, or do you think this is happening to a lot more parents?
I've spoken to so many parents and so many detransitioners and families at this point. It seems to be an almost universal experience. And that's that's the basis that these hospitals and these clinics and these doctors operate on when they're doing these procedures to not just adults but children. They say that the risk of suicide is too high to just let them grow up without any intervention. But they're actually, in the Skermeti case that the arguments were heard for about 2 years ago, there was a lawyer with the ACLU who was arguing in favor of not allowing states like Tennessee to have laws protecting children. She admitted that the rates of suicide in the child transgender population are actually exceedingly low, almost unheard of. And at worst, these children may experience suicidal ideation, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are at risk of committing suicide. It just means that they have mental health issues that may not be accounted for during the transition process.
So that would be pre-intervention.
Yes, and even during intervention.
So the threat level is not what they made it seem to be.
Right. Their whole argument has completely just crumbled. And for what? We've completely changed the lives of thousands of children across the United States for nothing. This is medical experimentation that we're doing to children who are perfectly healthy, who deserve so much better.
Amen. And I think it's important to point out the part about the parents, because even me at times I'll read these stories and I think, where are the mom and dad? And it's like, well, they're being guilted into this. They're having their own emotions weaponized against them, and that's just as dark and as evil as what's happening to the child.
Amen.
So I feel for your mom and dad, and
they deserve a lot of grace.
They really do. And so I want to unpack this a little bit more on the other side. What the process looked like when you started to detransition, and how people began to stop praising you and start shouting you down and calling you one of the worst kind of transphobes that there could be.
Right.
Because I think that's just absolutely asinine. You went through it on your own. You saw the process. You saw what happened. And then you went, after a couple of years, you made a judgment call and said, this isn't right. This can't continue. And then you were demonized for it.
And it was primarily by people who did not experience what I did, who had not been nearly as far into the process as I was or as young as I did. I knew what I was talking about. I knew what I was experiencing. And yet they didn't successfully shut me down, but they tried their absolute hardest, and they still do. And this was after years of going through this as a kid. I began the process of taking hormone blockers to stop my puberty in its tracks, and then I very shortly after that was put on testosterone to masculinize my body, so it was weekly injections of that. And at 15 years old, I had surgery. And I would say the surgery was the major turning point when I realized just how much of a toll this was taking on my body and how much of my future it was actually taking away. And it was a realization that I wanted to have kids, that as I started to get a little bit older and go into my later teens, that I had a vision for my future that I didn't know I would have had before, and how important things like motherhood and breastfeeding would be to me as an adult. That took me out of it. I was grieving a lot by that point in time because it took away my formative years, and now I still don't even know if I can have children, if I'm healthy enough for that. But it also gave me the courage to stop, to step back, to reassess everything, and learn that this is not the way. And that my life at that point in time desperately needed to have a change in course. Otherwise, I could have gotten seriously hurt. These drugs were making me very sick, not just psychologically, but spiritually and physically. And it was time then to stop. And for choosing to embrace the truth, for being outspoken about it, I lost pretty much all my friends within the transgender community at that point. Some were more passive and would quietly disassociate from me and unfollow me or block me or no longer speak to me at school. But others, they were cruel. They would tell me that it was all my fault, that I was a stupid little kid, that I deserved to be going through all that, and that I should have known better. And as I've gone public, the response has just ramped up. I've been doxxed. I have had members of my family threatened. I've had hate mail sent to my house. I have been assaulted, tripped, chased after at different events, even in state houses, which you think would be safe, right?
It's insane.
But none of it has deterred me from speaking up. If anything, it's emboldened me because all that I'm doing is speaking to what I've learned, to the truth, to my own experiences, and to, I think, a moral compulsion that I have.
Amen.
To help protect other kids from going through what I did.
And your courage is on full display. We're talking with Chloe Cole. We'll have more with Chloe here momentarily. It's 10:58. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Starting Stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement. Batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Drivers, we got road work getting in the way. Got a 33-minute delay right now if you are westbound 24 in Whites Creek, right lane blocked. And in Laverne, road work blocking the right 2 lanes, 24 eastbound. That's right there between exit 64 and exit 66. Full forecast again in 5 minutes. President Trump bringing together more than 40 countries to the first meeting of his new Board of Peace.
In terms of prestige, there's never been anything close because these are the greatest world leaders. Almost everybody's accepted, and the ones that haven't will be. And some are playing a little cute. It doesn't work. You can't play cute with me.
The group is focused on rebuilding Gaza, with member states pledging about $5 billion, far short of the estimated $70 billion needed. Some nations, including major U.S. allies, declined to participate over concerns the board could undermine the United Nations. Trump insists the board will play a major role in global conflict resolution going forward. Here in Tennessee, the Department of Children's Services says it investigated more child deaths last year than in any year over the past decade. Fox 17 says a new state audit shows some of those cases are still unresolved, slowed by vacancies and delays in the review process. Department of Children's Services says more than half of the deaths they investigate involve infants, many tied to unsafe sleep situations. The agency has now filled its physician reviewer position and is launching a dedicated child death team in March. And Tennessee lawmakers considering a bill that would raise penalties for drivers caught holding their phones. Right now, the court fee for a hands-free violation is $10. The proposal would increase that to as much as 50% of the traffic fine, meaning drivers could pay up to $50 in the court costs alone. If approved, that change would take effect on July 1st. And a new deal between the Boring Company and Nashville International Airport's been approved, paving the way for the Music City Loop Tunnel between BNA and downtown. The airport authority voted unanimously to authorize the license agreement, which brings in $34 million in fees over 50 years. Officials say the project could open as early as 2027 and requires no capital investment from the airport. Supporters tout the economic benefits, while critics warn about community impact and oversight. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, and we have a very special guest in studio. Her name is Chloe Cole. She is one of the loudest, most vocal detransitioners on the planet, and we're grateful for her courage, her bravery, and her voice. Chloe, before we get going, a lot of people are asking where they can find you online and social media, how they can support you. Where can we find you online?
So all of my links to my social media are on my new website, CHOOO, that's 3 O's, COLE.com, ChooCole.com.
CHOOCOLE.com.
That's three O's in the middle.
3 O's. ChooCole.com. Perfect. Find everything you need to know about Chloe there. And I don't want to be telling tales out of school, but you're working on a book, you're working on a movie, you are all over the place. How did you find the courage to start speaking up about this as vocally as you have?
You know, it's pretty strange and kind of ironic in the fact that I was actually the shy kid when I was in school. When I first started speaking out, I was like a fresh high school dropout, and I didn't really have a whole lot going for me. I could barely even look people in the eyes, let alone have like a full conversation. But it basically started with a Twitter account and a dream. And even though I naturally am not the type of person to want to rock the boat, before all this, I was really on the shy side. But I just felt so compelled by the things that I had seen and experienced, and for the treatment that I was getting just for re-embracing the truth, to speak up. I had none of the skills that I really needed then, but I knew that it was basically now or never, because I could see the turning point in the culture that was about to happen. And even though there had been a few detransitioners before me who were speaking publicly, nobody was really paying attention for whatever reason. And I wanted to at least be a voice to encourage other people who were going through the same thing to be able to speak up as well, to have their own voice. And it started with posts on X back before the big change with Elon buying it and the bird being freed. And suddenly, basically overnight, I started getting thousands of followers and journalists reaching out to me, somebody even like coming to my house to interview me and my parents, with our permission, of course, not just randomly. And then I started being asked to go on Fox News and to travel across the United States to speak on legislation to protect children, which at first I thought was going to be like a one-off thing, but now I've been to over 40 states to do that.
Unbelievable work.
I was still 17 at this time, so I was still under the jurisdiction of my parents. It took a little bit of convincing from them, and I cried because at first they said no, but they started to see that this is a big opportunity for me to pick up my own life and also to help other people. And I'm so grateful that they said yes. I owe so much to my mom and dad. I love them to bits.
I'm grateful that you said yes. You know, when you say that you didn't feel like you were ready for it, I go back to this thing where God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And I think that that's something that's at work in your life. It's
really strange. It's really strange how he took me from this awkward high school dropout to the place where I am now. And I'm so... I don't even know how to express my gratitude for it, but I've gone from awkward testimonies that I've read off of my laptop to speaking pretty much on the national stage to different college campuses, to working with groups with the Turning Point, Young America's Foundation, and having this big platform where a way has been made for people in my situation to advocate not just for ourselves, but for the next generation.
Yeah, and we're grateful for you doing that. Rewinding the clock a little bit, you're facing therapists who are affirming your pronouns and your name change. Your parents are facing those therapists. They're now recommending drugs. They're recommending surgeries. What are those conversations like after you leave the doctor's office with your parents?
It was a complete change in pace and tone. Whereas it was so easy to get this process started, there was no off-ramp after the fact. And it makes sense. There's no recourse in the medical system right now. There's no acknowledgement of detransition patients or even the word detransitioner that's like mentioned in really any standards of care. And so there's nothing that doctors can really look to for guidance when they're treating patients like me. But a lot of them also are just unwilling to do so because they're so by the book that when they see an unusual case, it's like, okay, like we're going to send you back to the gender clinic. We are going to send you back to the doctors in the place where you got hurt in the first place. And I tried my absolute hardest to get help. To no avail. I went back to the psychologist who referred me to surgery. I went back to my surgeon. I went back to my endocrinologist, all asking them for help with things that some were simple, some were a little bit more complicated, but they all were very much qualified to help me with, and I got absolutely nothing.
And this is after they had put you on testosterone and after you received the surgery?
Yes.
What are the effects when you're that age being put on testosterone? How old were you? Were you 15?
13.
13 when you were put on testosterone?
Yes.
What does that do to a 13-year-old girl?
So it has the expected effects of masculinization. So a deepened voice, development of like the Adam's apple, some permanent like bone structure changes, changes in musculature, body hair, as well as emotional and psychological changes. Including in like your behavior, like thought patterns, even like sex drive, which is one of many things that makes this so wildly inappropriate to be putting children on in the first place, because you're literally experimenting with their sexuality before they are sexual beings. It's so sick, but it also made me very sick. I had complications from all three of the procedures. And in the long term, I am left with joint pains. I have had issues with my urinary tract. It was the worst when I was on the testosterone, and especially when they had me at the highest dose of it. I was having like blood clots and tissue in my urine. It was horrific. And there was no doctor who could even answer to why this was happening. There was no really questioning of even just the fact that this was being caused by these drugs. It was just, okay, we're going to add more drugs into the mix to hopefully fix this that are in turn going to make it worse. So
during this process, as the complications are coming because of the drugs, your mom and dad are still faced with the notion that if they don't go along with it, you're going to commit suicide and they're going to lose you altogether.
Right.
Does mom and dad start waking up to maybe this isn't what we were sold at this time? And are they broaching that conversation with you? Or is it the other way around where you realize first and then you bring it to mom and dad?
So my mom was actually the first person to notice that something was wrong. And it was after my surgery. And she actually asked me, do you regret going through this? I think it was about a year before I detransitioned. But I was so entrenched in the ideology, and I didn't know that there even was a word to explain the regret and the act of stopping, that I said, no,
and
I'm just a young man.
The surgery was the double mastectomy.
Yes,
correct?
I had my breasts were surgically removed at 15.
At 15. I feel like those doctors need to be brought up on criminal charges.
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like that is a crime against humanity.
I think so too. I think it's a violation of human rights in every sense of the word.
And your parents wouldn't have signed off on that unless they were under duress.
Right. They advocated for me the hardest and pushed back against this with my doctors the most when I was having the consultations with the surgeon. But I think that, I wasn't in the room with my parents when they were having these discussions with the doctors about suicidality and the risk of suicide. But I could imagine that it was they were being pressured the absolute most before surgery.
Why do you think these doctors are pressuring the parents as hard as they're pressuring the kids?
I think, and during the break we talked about this, there is a major financial incentive to perform these surgeries and to administer the drugs. There's just a lot of money that flows in and out of this industry. But more importantly, there's an ideological incentive. Many of these doctors are not just evil. They wholeheartedly believe that this is how things should be done. That these patients they're treating are genuinely what they identify as, that they are really saving lives in castrating and mutilating them. I mean, this is pretty much the entire medical profession is trained to affirm this in some fashion. Even doctors who are not specifically dealing with the transition itself are regularly given trainings, which I know this because I have family members who are in the medical profession, as well as many friends as well, who have to go through these sensitivity trainings on dealing with queer and POC and other minority patients.
Yeah, it's definitely been captured by leftist ideology, and I don't think there's any argument against that.
And a lot of these doctors don't even realize the bubble that they're in. They don't realize that there is a massive cultural change that is happening. They just think like, oh, it's this hateful minority of people and politicians who are pushing for genocide.
Yeah, which is just insane.
Asinine.
Yep, 100%. The fight continues, though. You currently have a lawsuit against the monsters that did this to you. Tell me a little bit about the lawsuit and what you're expecting with the outcomes.
So from the very beginning of my detransition, I knew that what my doctors did to me was very wrong, criminal on a spiritual level.
Yep.
And I wanted to hold them accountable, but I had a conversation with my mom and dad about it, and I was devastated because we all, as angry and depressed as we all were, we didn't think that there was a way out because all these procedures had already been signed off on. But only a few months after I started speaking out, there was this firm called Center for American Liberty, which is this nonprofit that focuses on a lot of these different cultural issues, that reached out, and they were like, it was primarily Harmeet Dillon, who now is with the DOJ. Yep. And they were calling me, and we were having conversations back and forth about, okay, well, we've been looking for cases like this for a while, and if you don't want to do this, if you're looking for another firm to do this with, then it's no problem. But we really are passionate about this, and we want to help. We want to help take this industry down because this is criminal. And I decided when I was 18, I'm going to sue my doctors. I'm going to sue the endocrinologist who experimented on me, the surgeon who took away my breast forever, and the psychologist who referred me through that process, as well as the clinic where it happened and Kaiser Permanente as a whole, which is my old healthcare provider that is, to this day, it still touts itself as the best provider for so-called gender-affirming care in the state of California. And it's just been it's been a lengthy process over the years, partly because California's courts are just so backed up, but also because Kaiser has been trying to do everything they can to try and just like shove my case under the water and either have it thrown out or have me compelled into a binding arbitration. But it didn't matter what they try to do. Even the state courts have agreed to allow this case to go into a trial. And I just got the date for the very first day of trial.
Let's go. What day is that?
April 5th of next year.
So what does that feel like for you? Is that victory, or is that like, okay, I see the finish line?
Man, what doesn't it feel like? There's so many emotions at once that it's so like I'm like shaking thinking about it. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm happy that I pushed through, and I'm very cautiously optimistic. And I think that a good verdict is going to be in the works, especially because we finally have precedent in these cases with the win of a young woman named Fox Varian, who won $2 million in New York in a case against her surgeon and her psychologist for the double mastectomy that she had when she was just a little bit older than I was.
What does the state of transgender medical care in the United States look like in 5 years?
I think it really depends on how we handle the culture moving forward as conservatives. Right now, we're at a point in time where the ball really is in our court. We have had 26 states that have, in some form, stopped these procedures. We have the Supreme Court precedents with the Scrimeti case that has allowed these bans to persist. And we have these executive orders and federal legislation in the works to extend statute of limitations for people suing, to establish a federal definition of sex, as well as to ban these procedures in children as well. But we could be at the point that we were just a few years ago, if not worse, if we don't win the midterms.
That's a scary thought.
It's terrifying. It's really, really terrifying, frankly. And I hear a lot of these commentators say, we've won. We finally won the culture. It's all over now. We're winning in the present. But in this moment, we need to work hard. We need to work twice as hard, if not thrice as hard, as we have before. Because the war for our children is not over yet.
You're absolutely right.
And it won't be maybe for a long time, but how long it lasts, that depends on us.
We're talking with Chloe Cole, detransitioner, vocal voice in this movement. What message would you have to parents out there who are going through the process that your parents went through? And what message would you have to the youth who are feeling confused like you were?
It can be very difficult as a parent to know how to navigate this because it's so much bigger than just a phase that your kid is going through. It's, for many kids, a crisis in mental health and identity, in trying to discover who they are and what their purpose is in a world with such a broken culture. And it's a delicate balance of building your relationship with your child and getting to a point where hopefully you can have open, honest discussions about this with no words minced, while also letting them know that you love them, you are concerned for them, and you only want the best for them. And also trying to be the single greatest influence in their lives when there's social media, there's their peers, there's their school that might be pushing these ideas onto them. And also if the medical profession and the psychological professions are really difficult for parents to go up against when their kid is experiencing this gender-related confusion, which knowing what my mom and dad went through, it's basically universal for parents to be told at some point if their child is gender confused that they're going to end their lives. That is an incredibly difficult lie to contend with and to know how to deal with. But I often get asked by parents if there's like a network of doctors or psychologists I know who I can refer out to, but it's so difficult because there's like the medical profession is like really stacked up against this with this ideology. And I think what might be more helpful actually is knowing what to avoid. If there are adults who are trying to get between you and your child in any way, trying to keep secrets from you, trying to have conversations away from you with your kid. If they're using this, if they're using like these woke flowery words like preferred name, preferred pronouns, or like affirming, I would really recommend brushing up on the tactics and the phrases that these doctors and these activists use. And if they intend not on questioning and instead pushing your child further into this, stay far away from that adult and keep them out of your child's life as much as possible.
It's good advice. Chloe Cole, thank you for the voice that you are in this movement. Thank you for the fight that you're putting up. We truly appreciate you. You can keep up with Chloe and her fight at ChooCole.com, CHOOO Cole.com. And you're also on X at ChooCole, CHOOOCOLE.
Well, I've actually changed my username on X to just Chloe Cole, but that's
Just
still
Chloe
my
Cole.
username on Instagram and
Okay,
YouTube as
perfect.
well.
Perfect. Chloe, thank you so much for the time today. We truly appreciate you. Will you come back and update us on your journey and your fight?
I would love to.
Yes, please do. Chloe Cole, everybody, she is one of the best. This will be podcasted so that you can share it with your friends. It is a conversation that needs to happen more, and we thank Chloe Cole for coming in here and sharing that with us. In the meantime, I got to ask you a question. With gold and silver prices climbing, a lot of folks are stacking precious metals at home. Where are you putting them? If you're putting them in a tin box and you're calling it a safe, I got news for you. That's actually just a filing cabinet. You need to talk to my friends at Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville. They carry real safes, including UL-rated and TL and TR safes, tested and certified to resist tool and torch attacks. These are the kind of protection you need for your firearms, your cash, your jewelry, but also for your passports, your photo albums, the things you don't want to lose in a fire. Aaron Parker runs the business the old-fashioned way, veteran-owned Christian family business, serving Tennessee since 2009. These guys answer their phones, they show up on time, and they only sell products that they would trust in their own home. They deliver and service to all of Nashville and the surrounding areas. They're based in Shelbyville, but that is not another country. They can come to you as well. Give Aaron a call today, 931-842-6445. Find a detailed review of every safe in stock on their YouTube page. Just search for Parker Safes on YouTube or go to the website directly, parkersafes.com.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers still got road work in Laverne. The right two lanes are blocked, 24 eastbound. And then Jolton got road work. The right lane is blocked, 24 westbound, just past Whites Creek Pike. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, a bill that says private organizations and citizens do not have to recognize same-sex marriage just cleared the state house. News 2 says during debate, opponents like Democrat State Rep Afton Bain argued the state legislature doesn't have the power to override federal precedent and warned the bill will likely face court challenges, with the bill's sponsor, Republican State Rep Gino Bolso, pushing back, saying the bill is legally sound.
Members, this body does not get to pick and choose which constitutional rights we like and which ones we don't. If a right is federally protected, whether it's the First Amendment, whether it's the 14th Amendment, we do not get to selectively nullify it because it's unpopular with the majority of this chamber. And this isn't conservatism, this is legislative overreach.
The 14th Amendment does not bind private citizens, which is all this bill says. So any argument that somehow this language or this bill is unconstitutional or is a violation of the Supremacy Clause is completely inaccurate, and it is stated without citation to any authority to support it.
So the bill protects people from any punishment if they decide not to officiate a same-sex marriage, and it moves on to the next legislative process. Meanwhile, the Music City Loop connecting downtown with the airport is moving forward after the Nashville Airport Authority approved a partnership with Elon Musk's The Boring Company. News 2 was there for the debate and vote and says local and state Democratic leadership like Nashville State Senator Heidi Campbell claim it's not safe or transparent, while others hail it as an economic boon by clearing up traffic congestions, creating jobs. Take a listen.
You're not being asked to approve a tunnel, but to decide whether Nashville's future will be governed by standards or spectacle. History won't remember whether this looked profitable in the moment, but whether you protected this city when it mattered.
Boring's investment in Nashville is an unprecedented economic development opportunity for our urban core. It strengthens downtown as one of the most vibrant and dynamic districts in the Southeast for locals and visitors alike.
That was Executive Vice President of Giarratana, Morgan Stengel. And that's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. If you're dealing with back pain, neck pain, sciatica, herniated or bulging disc, spinal stenosis, you got numbness or weakness in your arms, legs, fingers, toes, you don't have to live that way. You just don't. You can talk to the Wellness Institute of Nashville today. They have my seal of approval on a deal that could absolutely change your life. They're the first and only office in the state of Tennessee with a brand new HydroWave machine. We're talking technology that stimulates your very own stem cells for real cellular healing. This is why Dr. Mitchell needs to be your doctor. You bring your MRI report. They'll take x-rays if needed. He'll walk you through exactly what's happening, and then he'll give you a real treatment plan to fix the problem. But he's not going to suggest opioids. He's not going to suggest painful injections, and surgery is definitely not an option. You guys are going to be dealing with the latest and greatest in tech. We're talking robotic lasers, anti-gravity machines, cryotherapy, the HydroWave that I mentioned moments ago. It's going to stimulate your own stem cells. You're going to heal at a cellular level with Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley. All you need to do to start a pain-free life is give the Wellness Institute of Nashville a call. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or find them online, painisbad.com. It's 11:40 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. And a huge thank you to our last guest, Chloe Cole, for coming in here. Just an absolute, just an inspiration. I mean, she's the epitome of strength to be doing what she's doing at such a young age. We love Chloe. We'll be praying for her as she continues down this road. And we were talking a little while ago. She's welcome to come back in here anytime. She has an open invite on the show, whether she wants to call in, Zoom in, be here in studio. We want updates on Chloe's journey and updates on that lawsuit that's coming here in about a year. Chloe's a fighter, and I'm grateful for the time that we got to spend with her. If you want to keep up with Chloe, you can find her on social media, Chloe Cole, CHLOE. That's her X handle. And then her website is choocole.com, CHOOOCOLE.com, Chew, 3 O's, Cole.com. We appreciate her. We really do. We'll be podcasting that. That'll be up on Spotify. That'll be up on Apple Podcasts, all the places, in case you want to share with a friend and listen in or just listen again. I don't know what we do after an interview like that. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to kind of like pick up and just keep the show going.
Yeah.
But Chloe's just an inspiration. So shout out to Chloe Cole. Appreciate that. In the meantime, we do got a little bit more things to talk about, and we'll do that right here inside the Lightning Round.
It's the Lightning Round with Chris Hand.
We do it every day at this time. We like to call it the Lightning Round. We talk about all the stories that wouldn't fill up a whole segment, stories that we didn't have time to get to, and stories that are on our radar that we just feel like need to be mentioned. I got this one actually texted to me. This is a listener-submitted Lightning Round story. And it kind of ties into what we were talking about with Chloe Cole. You know, the leftist ideology, the liberal indoctrination that is absolutely corrupting our youth. This story is from Fox 17. You ready for this? Nashville teacher allegedly threatened with termination after refusing to read LGBTQ book. Huh. So you'll read the gay book, bigot, or you'll lose your job. Is that what we're doing in Nashville? Is that what we're doing in Nashville? I guess that's what we're doing. Again, this is from Fox 17. A first grade teacher at a Nashville charter school says he was threatened with termination and reassigned after requesting a religious accommodation to avoid reading a children's book depicting a same-sex family. A first grade teacher in a Nashville charter school was threatened with termination because he didn't want to read a book that was approved by the Rainbow Mafia. Unfreaking believable. Eric Rivera is his name. He's an absolute hero, and salute to Eric. He teaches at KIPP Antioch College Prep Elementary. Said the conflict began when he was assigned to read Stella Brings the Family by Miriam B. Schiffer as part of a classroom lesson in January. Rivera, a Christian, said he asked administrators for religious accommodation because the book conflicted with his beliefs. He said, and I quote, "I refused to read a book that had 2 fathers on the cover and 1 daughter," Rivera said. "I believe that is not what God designed marriage to be and a family to be." According to Rivera, school leaders initially allowed a co-teacher to teach the lesson instead. So don't worry, bigots. The kids are still going to get their Rainbow Mafia indoctrination one way or another. But Mr. Rivera got to step out. He wasn't going to do it under his own accord. So they got a co-teacher to teach the lesson instead. He said the following day he was called into the principal's office and given a written final warning. You will read the books, you stupid bigot. Is that what they're doing? Is that what they're doing? First grade. Do you need more of an advertisement for homeschooling? Anybody need more of an advertisement for homeschooling? It's right here. Mr. Rivera said the final warning said that I have to teach the lesson plan with fidelity, and if I didn't, I would be terminated. Rivera says he had no prior disciplinary history before the incident. He said he later accepted a reassignment to a technology teaching position and was subsequently moved again to a kindergarten role, but remains employed at the school. I still have the fear in me that I could lose my job for anything I do based on my religious beliefs, Rivera said. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, he's got to be looking with one eye, right? Like, he's got to be looking over his shoulder every step of the day. Of course he's gonna eventually get fired. They'll find cause. They'll find a reason to fire him that has nothing to do with this. That way there can't be a lawsuit. But this is insanity. I still have the fear in me that I could lose my job for anything that I do based on my religious beliefs. Legal demand was filed. Shout out to Mr. Rivera. Don't take this sitting down, kids. Don't. Lawyer up. Rivera is now represented by First Liberty Institute, a legal organization that says it has sent a formal demand letter to the school. Senior counsel Cliff Martin said the group believes federal law requires schools to accommodate religious objections when possible. We've submitted a demand letter demanding that they accommodate Mr. Rivera's religious practices and that they do not discriminate. The letter was sent February 17th, requesting a response within 10 days. Martin said the claim centers primarily on the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, which requires employers to reasonably accommodate religious beliefs. The attorney also raised concerns about whether parents were notified of the lesson content under Tennessee law, though that allegation has not been independently verified. Would you let your first grader sit through this? Would you? I wouldn't. Rivera said the lesson came from curriculum materials used in the school's first grade program. He believes parents should be aware of classroom content. I just want the whole curriculum to be shown to the parents in a way that they can actually understand, Rivera said. He said he would return to teaching first grade, but would still decline to present that lesson. God bless this guy. Even under the threat of being fired, he's like, no, we're not doing that. To first graders. Remember when the whole conversation on gay marriage, right, was like, let us do what we want in our own bedroom, you stupid bigot. It's not like we're going into your kid's classroom. Remember when that was the argument? And now here they are in our kids' classrooms. First grade. KIPP Antioch College Prep Elementary operates as a public charter school authorized by the Tennessee Public Charter School Commission. The Tennessee Charter School Commission provided this statement to Fox 17. All public charter schools must follow the same Tennessee academic standards as traditional public schools, and while they do have flexibility selecting curriculum and materials, they must still be aligned with those same standards. All schools are required to comply with prohibited concepts law and must provide a form on their website for reporting violations. The commission provides a form submitting complaints related to the prohibited concepts law, as well as any other violations of charter school law on our website. The teachers and staff at charter schools are employees of the school or charter operator, and as such, all personnel matters are handled by the school. Fox 17 News contacted KIPP Antioch College Prep Elementary and KIPP Nashville Public Schools principal Brittany Kennedy. No responses were received at the time of publication. This is happening in a first grade classroom in Red, Tennessee. We're just gonna sit on our hands and say this is fine. This is where it starts. It's gonna trickle out from Davidson County out to all the other counties here momentarily. Make no mistake about it. It's points on the board for these leftists. If you ever needed an advertisement for homeschooling, here it is. Stella brings the family. Nothing to see here. Just two dads telling first graders that this is normal. What the hell's going on in this country? It's crazy. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. We're learning more about what happened in Pawtucket, Rhode Island with the trans shooter violence that took place at the hockey rink. The son of the trans shooter revealed to be arsonist who attempted to burn down a black church as cops seized terrifying weapons stash. Yeah, this family had some issues. The son of the transgender shooter who opened fire at the high school hockey game is serving time in federal prison for setting fire to a black church. Roberta Esposito, Robert Dorgan, 56, who took his own life after he fired shots in the Lynch Arena in Pawtucket, Rhode Island on Monday afternoon, killing his son and his ex-wife. Dorgan's in-laws, Linda and Gerald Dorgan, both 75, and her friend Thomas Geruso, 54, an assistant principal at Shea High School in Pawtucket, also remain in critical condition at a local hospital following the rampage. While investigating the shooting, authorities discovered that Dorgan was the biological father of Kevin Colantonio, 37, who tried to burn down the Shiloh Gospel Temple Ministries in North Providence 2 years ago. This family is just absolutely damaged from top to bottom. They also caught up with the daughter of the trans hockey shooter, and she said that there was a vendetta against the family because he was ostracized by his 6 kids before he transitioned. They caught her walking out of the police station, and I mean, she was just an absolute mess, as one can imagine. But it all goes back to this transgender ideology is a mental illness, and it needs to be taken seriously. Praying for the victims there and praying for that family. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. This one caught my attention. Nancy Mace, once again, talking about the Epstein files. And she believes that Epstein was an intel agent. She says that Israel's on the table, Mossad, the CIA is on the table, and that somebody is covering this up.
Leaders pushing for transparency around the Epstein files. Do you think that the files that are not in the possession of the Department of Justice, but are in the possession of the intel community, should those be released? And is there any legislative effort underway to do that?
I sent a letter to one particular three-letter agency, the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, yesterday regarding documents I believe they have in their possession. I want a copy of every single passport under every single pseudonym that he had. I do believe that Epstein was an intel agent, maybe more than one for more than one country. And I believe that the CIA is in possession of documents that will tell us and give us more answers to the operations, not just the sex trafficking, because I believe this goes into arms dealing overseas and other nefarious activities and hiding money for rich and powerful people. I think there's a lot more to the Epstein operation than meets the eye. And that's why, and I think some government officials are involved, that's why it's being swept under the rug and hidden.
I think Nancy Mace is right on a couple of those things, that it goes well beyond the sex trafficking. Arms trafficking is something that I've heard as well. She says that he's an intel asset. I think that a couple things can be true at once. I think that he could have been working for the Mossad. I think he could have been working for the CIA. And I think he could have been working for MI6. I think he was playing a lot of these intel agencies against one another. But at a certain point, Nancy Mace, you're part of the cover-up too. Like, and while I recognize that she's going out there and she's spitting a lot of truth, she's one of those same people that said, if you saw the list that I saw, if you knew the names that I knew, governments would topple. And then she went on to say in another interview, with Piers Morgan, that she'd be willing to name some of the names. Some of the names. Okay. At a certain point, Nancy Mace, Thomas Massey, Ro Khanna, they are as complicit in the cover-up as anyone they're accusing of being complicit in the cover-up, because they're telling us that they know the names, yet they're not revealing anything either. I want accountability. I'm a little bit jealous that we're seeing high-ranking officials being arrested over in the UK, looking at you, Prince Andrew, and we're not seeing that same kind of stuff happening here. But it goes back to reps like Nancy Mace. If you know the truth, let it out. The light is the best disinfectant. It's 11:53. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I mean, we'll definitely. 11:57, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. Chad Benson's in studio. I was just telling him about the first grade teacher that was threatened to be fired over not reading the books. You will read the book, bigot. You will.
Why can't we just learn and just be done? We don't need, and nothing used to go wrong with us when we learned how to read. You know, we would read the Boxcar Kids. We would read, you know, whatever, Dr. Seuss. It was, I don't need, stop with social activism amongst the kids. When they get older and you want to teach them a little bit of this when they're in high school, why we do social activism, why this, what's happened in the past, that's fine. They're one, you know, here's Greek eggs and ham.
Yeah, first grade, please.
Yeah, first grade.
Dr. Seuss is fine.
There you go.
Did I tell you what happened with me and my daughter?
No.
So she's trying out for this play Matilda. You've heard of Matilda.
Oh, yeah.
Roald Dahl. And she was like, I really want to read the book. And I was like, okay, cool. So my wife, we had a Barnes & Noble gift card. Too woke for me, but they got it for Christmas. So, okay, we'll go use the Barnes & Noble gift card. My wife is playing zone defense to keep them away from the gay books. And that's tough at Barnes & Noble. But so my daughter, my 12-year-old, gets the Matilda book. And my wife is like, perfect, safe, got it. Like, okay.
Roll was a
Kennedy's taken care of. Okay, no, let's get the other three so we can get the heck out of here. They get home, and I'm looking at the book, and I'm like, something's off with that. I was like, I can't remember what it is. I was like, but something happened with these books. And she's like, Dad, it's fine. It's not woke. I'm like, no, I think it's woke. And I like walk back into my room and I'm like, it's still bugging me. So I like start Googling what happened with Roald Dahl books. 2 years ago, they went in, a new publisher, and completely changed all the language in Roald Dahl's books. Like took out any fat shaming, took out any time they described somebody as ugly, and like really politically corrected all of these books. So I just walked back in there. I was like, yoink. She's like, no. And I went on eBay and got an older version.
An older version of the books.
Which was far cheaper than what you could get. But like, this is the stuff as parents in 2026 that you have to pay attention to more than ever.
Whatever happened to art? We don't touch art. Remember the left were like, we don't touch art. We don't touch it. It is, oh, by the way, you have to now, if you're going to talk about, Mark Twain. Oh, trigger warnings. We should change it up.
Lady in the Tramp gets a trigger warning like, not all Italians eat spaghetti. It's like what are we doing here? It's
really?
Ridiculous.
Show me one that doesn't eat spaghetti.
They all eat spaghetti. Just better than ours. Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.